Christian Bale did in The Big Short, betting that they can't keep up payments. For those people cheerleading even more borrowing, Icahn retorted, "A lot of these bonds now are in grave danger. It's like selling insurance to someone who's going to go to the electric chair in a couple of months." So is a gangrene already festering in the commercial real estate world? With tens of millions of Americans working in retail, how many people could lose their jobs? Cody Payne is Senior Vice President of a commercial real estate investment firm in Dallas-Fort Worth. And today, Chance Seals asked him, what's the real financial status of America's brick and mortars?
Cody, in so many words, Carl Icahn says that in 2020, the commercial real estate business is a ticking time bomb for our economy. Does that sound right?
It does not to me. I think that we can grade it by buyer activity, seller activity, and other analytics of that nature. And with the amount of buyers and sellers that are still in the marketplace and banks willing to lend money, I don't see the ticking time bomb out there. But, I know a lot of people didn't see that back in 2008 and 2009 either.
This goes beyond buildings and brick and mortar and all that sort of stuff. The latest numbers I found, something like 29 million Americans, those being either late teenagers or adults, 29 million Americans working in retail. How many of those jobs could be at risk if we were to see these dominoes start to fall?
Well, I think you could see quite a few. I mean, keep in mind in 2019, there were, somewhat around 9,300 stores that did close their doors last year, but also bear in mind that 2,100 of those were Payless. But there's still a lot of retailers that are opening. There's a lot of online retailers that never had a brick and mortar store before that are opening locations. And so I think you'll see, one thing to keep in mind with retail is it's a ever-changing trend, and it's, very consumer-driven, consumer experience-driven. And a lot of those guys are needing to tailor to the new generation of consumers, and the ones that haven't, I think you've seen those kind of falter and have their issues.
We know something like airlines, hotels, things like that, the government is going to step in. At which point does the government let something go by the wayside, knowing that that's going to mean compromising jobs, but also you can't shore up every single business across America. And it seems like the small businesses are going to be the ones that don't get that buoy.
Well, and if you want to take the current example that we have right now with the coronavirus situation and a lot of these stores, having to close early or even shut down, keep this in perspective. A lot of those guys have rent payments that they're obligated to. But one thing you got to keep in mind is, if the government steps in on that, the rent payments that they're paying are going to these landlords that own the buildings that also have mortgages and loans that they are having to pay. And so it is something that can be very tricky, but I believe this is a short-term problem that will have to go through, a few changes. But, I do know that the government's stepping in right now to help the financial markets as best they can. And it is helping out in certain sectors, but, it's a time and wait.
What is the very best thing we can do right now to help make sure that businesses can stay afloat, people can be employed? Is it sending those treasury checks to individual Americans? Is it asking real estate developers give some grace periods? Is it Small Business Administration giving loans to small businesses? What is the very best thing we can do soon?
So I think some of that is going to be also state-driven and, economy for the certain cities driven. I know out here, I was talking to a developer earlier, and, they've already started to see issues with steel pricing and things of that nature that have already started to skyrocket over the past week. It's going to be a very, not individual basis, but, one thing that they can do and that they have been is helping out the financial markets, and they've made lending very easy to get right now. So that's keeping the buyer pool active. That's keeping several of the financial markets still active. I know a lot of people are pulling their money out of the stock market right now, and a lot of them are looking into commercial real estate as an alternative investment. And so it's going to be finding those sectors that are struggling and how to help out those specific sectors. And I know a lot of companies are paying for time off and things of that nature, and so that's helping out as well.
Cody Payne, thank you.
And our thanks to Chance, working from home tonight. Meanwhile, Newsy is checking in on people across the U.S. to see how they are coping with the virus. People